Hello and welcome to the Sport Rep Show. I'm your host, Limba Mupetami. Today we'll be joined by Black Africa's long-serving supporter, Shaun Gariseb, as he will be speaking about the recently relegated Black Africa outfit. But before we get into that, let's head over to the hit list. Head coach of Navy Netball Club, Uhwanhina Kasume, is eager to maintain the club's impressive run in the MTC Netball Premier League when it returns this weekend at the Patrick Yambo College in Windhoek. Navy are currently on top of the log standings with 12 points after 6 wins from 6 matches. As things stand, Navy player Anna Casper is the leading goal shooter in the league as well. With stats released last week, Casper has 274 attempts at goal, a score of 241 and a goal average of 91%. She's followed in second by Karen David of Club Fatau, who has 45 attempts, a score of 41 and a goal average of 91%. In third is youngsters Rona Hawena with 233 attempts, 208 score and a goal average of 90%. The shooters' statistics are worked out according to goals scored as well as games played. Now moving onward, for those who wonder about the effort it takes to host a cricket game, it takes a lot of hard work and effort. With the video we're about to play, we celebrate the hard work that goes into organizing the game of cricket and the people who make it possible. Have a look at this.
Have you ever wondered what it takes to make a cricket game possible? It's not just the players and the equipment. It's the people behind the scenes who make it all happen. Meet the ground staff. They are the unsung heroes of cricket, who work tirelessly to ensure the field is in perfect condition for the players to perform at their best.
We couldn't play cricket without these guys.
They are the backbone of this sport.
So the next time you're watching a cricket game, take a moment to appreciate the hard work and dedication of the ground staff who make it all possible. Cricket Namibia, celebrating the people who make it all happen.
We now cross over to the sharpshooter segment of today's show right after the break. Well, the last 2 weeks have been quite painful for Black Africa supporters, with long-serving supporter of Black Africa, Shaun Gariseb, saying that it's very painful to process the fact that the club has been relegated from the top flight league. For the first time in domestic football, one of the biggest and successful clubs, Black Africa, has been relegated. BA, the defending champions, were competing in the Deb Marine Premiership and thus learned their fate last weekend Well, of course, they learned their fate last weekend as they were relegated. The situation, well, of course, Shaun Gariseb says that the situation, rather he has described the situation as very painful and very difficult to process. Well, he said that there has been a huge void left in with the upcoming season, as BA, established in 1974 or rather 64, have been the most successful club over the years. And they have won so many titles, about 10 titles the BA has won over the years. Now, Gariseb said that that this is very disappointing, and they're not happy with BA's leadership, as that has also resulted in the club being relegated. Well, we have caught up with Gariseb, and this is what he had to say. All right, we are joined by Shaun Gariseb. He's a long-serving supporter of Black Africa, as well as an avid football fan, as well as a podcaster as well. So, of course, today's topic, we're touching on the recent relegation of Black Africa, which has, of course, egged a lot of supporters. Welcome, Mr. Gariseb.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Okay, so touching on the Namibia, or rather the Deb Marine Premiership, how do you think the season went after such a long absence due to infighting? How do you see it? How do you think it went so far?
Obviously, because of my love and interest, it didn't go well. My team did not do well, but generally, as a football enthusiast and a sports fan, the league started off. It started off with a lot of doubt, but a great kickoff. The very first match I remember, it was at Paranaque Stadium, African Stars, and great opener. Things went. I would say things went up from there. Football started. I mean, not having football it was just not cutting it for everyone. So the fact that football was played, and I always emphasize this: football was played on all levels. It was not just at flagship level, it was also the lower divisions, women's football. So the Premier League started, everything was in order. There was no, to me the success was games were played. The standard, I watched maybe 70% of the games, obviously. Games outside window, I did not watch many of them, but I watched few games. So the standard was fine. I'm happy with how the league ended.
Okay, yeah. So in terms of the grants that were offered or that were on the table, there were many issues in terms of that, with some clubs threatening to not honor their fixtures. How much did your club get? If that is something that you would like to speak about, if you don't want to, that is also fine. And is that grant that was offered enough to run the club successfully?
It's also very important to just put it out there that I do not want to seem like I represent the club, but I am obviously a fan. But let's talk about the clubs. What the clubs got is what was offered when the season started. So what was offered is what I want to put it into context. An instance where one of the clubs were complaining about the grant at hand, and the FA, rightfully so, said that it is not their duty for clubs to find extra sponsorship to run their clubs. Even in life, if what you are given, if you cannot work with that, you must find a way to work with that. So looking at the long break that we had as a football nation, football is the favorite pastime of everyone. So looking at the long break that we have, struggles with sponsorship. We got sponsorship, we started, the grant was there, 60,000 to 65,000 per month. What teams were supposed to do, or what other teams were managing with what they have. Other teams were saying they cannot honor because of the money not being enough, which is really sad in a case like, and especially when we learn the type of teams that were complaining of these things. It was not only sad, it was also embarrassing, because you do work with what you have, and then you find, where can I get help here and there. So the grant for me, I mean, I do understand because club chairmen will tell you, club chairmen really, they don't have it easy. They have to do everything. But I do understand from that, the money is not enough. But I mean, we have to soldier with what's there.
Okay, so coming back now to the big question, the big issue on hand, Black Africa's relegation from top flight football. This has obviously caused an upset amongst a lot of fans. And I mean, Black Africa is a very big club. What does this mean for the club and the fans? And what went wrong?
I'll start from answering that question from the back. What went wrong is from the off, the writing was on the wall. It took us 7 games to win the very first to get the very first 3 points. After 7 games, we played against Orlando Pirates, and then we won against Orlando Pirates. Then we won against Orlando Pirates. We thought it was going to be a game changer. It didn't. At that time, we were already 15th on the table. Any club, for any club to work, it is always about leadership. So I felt from the beginning, the leadership was not doing enough. Players were not motivated enough, and things that were just supposed to work were not working. As a club, everything must work. It's like a machine. Fans, everything must be in cohesion for things to work. Those things did not work, and that was down to the leadership that was there. There's no two ways about it. It is the leadership, and that is why we are where we are.
Okay. Now, do you think that at the moment, with all the discussions that are going on, do you think that the BA leadership will fight the relegation promotion rules in order to continue staying in top-flight football? Now, if maybe you answer and you say yes, what message will this then send to other clubs that have also been relegated or in the future seasons to come?
No, but you see, fighting, I had the privilege of sitting with NFA leadership in an interview recently, and it was clarified as to how the stance of the league. It was very clarified. I mean, you cannot, we are football people, all of us grew up with football, we know, when you do something, when you play football, even at national level, you can play under protest. So when you start and you know that I did not sign relegation promotion guidelines, why don't you say, okay, I'm doing this under protest? In the event that this, why do you wait until we're in the circumstance and then you say, okay, I'm going to challenge this aspect that was not. And these people made it clear, NFA made it clear that, look, the relegation promotion guidelines can be signed or not signed. The relegation promotion in the league is not subject to team signing or not. So that was clarified by the director, Mr. Mabos Fries, and as to why certain people in our leadership rely on what they rely on, it beats my mind. I mean, this is just causing more confusion to us fans than anything. I mean, a lot of fans are calling us, or you can see on social media, some people cannot even believe that the club is relegated, because the club is just to put it in perspective, the club is so big that it's like, and if you look at the European teams, like in Spain, they have an election to have a leadership of that club. That is because the club is considered like a lifestyle. That is the same for Black Africa. From 1985 until today, Black Africa has won the most league titles. I'm talking about league titles, maybe 10 league titles. The closest team only won the 6th title this past season. Even if Black Africa does not play football for the next 3 years, they will still not equal that. And this is without cups. They are not called Cups Kings for nothing. So what does this tell you? This tells you this is an institution, a very huge institution. People are as far as Hobabes in Omaheke, in the south, in countrywide. People are angry. Because unfortunately, you know, because of the stop and start of things in football, people are getting slowly into the confidence of having local football, and then we are faced with this. So this is the time when leadership, instead of fighting these things, we're supposed to introspect and sit and say, look, press conference, let's speak to these people, let's call the people and apologize to the fans and have a contingency plan. That is what is supposed to happen. This is what happens in institutions like this.
Okay, so now, you know, of course you have watched so many league games. Now, the stadiums are already empty, the fields are empty. The league is struggling to fill the stadiums. Now, when you find a situation where the Red Army, let me say Black Africa, the fans are nowhere to be seen now because they have been relegated, what do you think happens now?
No, that's what I'm saying. Black Africa will always have fans. This is an institution. The only confusion now is the attitude of the leadership under the circumstances. That's what I'm saying. In these circumstances, you have to introspect and take this serious. Big teams have been relegated in the past in this country. Very big teams. What happened to them? They never came back. It's because of how they took the relegation. So this is the time when you sit and say, look, let's hold hands, let's go down together and come back together. It's not impossible. It is highly possible. We cannot rely on causing destabilization. We cannot support that kind of thing. At best, for the progress of football, we must support where people say, look, we came this far, we came here, it did not work. Then we say, no, fine. We stand with this leadership, we go down, we support the team, then we bring the team back up, and then we go further. There's nothing. I can almost say the team is the best in the country with just proper leadership, the best in Southern Africa. You see, that is what it is about.
Okay.
So to me, it's just about doing the right things.
Okay. Now, in conclusion, as we conclude this interview, what would you say is some of the reasons most clubs in Namibia at the moment, big clubs indeed, don't have a women's wing? If you look at Black Africa, they don't have a women's wing. If you look at the likes of Orlando Pirates, they don't have a women's wing. Magic, of course, they have a women's wing. But what are the reasons that some of these clubs don't have women wings? And then most of the clubs also don't own fields or stadiums. Of course, it comes down to finance, but I mean, what are some of the things that leadership needs to do? Do you see BA owning a stadium or a field in the future? And what are just some of the challenges that these clubs are facing?
With regards to with owning women's team, this is a question that we have always asked when we look at the women's league. Because in the women's league there are lots of teams, and then there are only a few teams. 11 Arrows has a women's team that I know of, and then Magic, a very good women's team. From the teams that are also playing in the men's league, there's a handful. And the traditional big teams do not have your Black Africa, your Tigers, your African Stars. I do not know, because you cannot say I do not know, is it because of it's not because of leadership per se. It's because of, maybe there was just not interest, because you must also bear in mind in the women's football there's this weird situation where the whole South, the entire South, there's no team. Omaheke, there's no team. But many of the players in the league are from the South. These have football teams. These teams have netball teams that are also doing well. They are sports clubs per se. With regards to stadia, that question, this season I've spoken to many people. In fact, the other day I was also asking this question, and it's a thing to do with, I understand but that before independence in this country, the municipality of the day had availed land to big clubs, especially in Windhoek. And if you look at the traditional Windhoek clubs, Cohen, Ramblers, SKV, Black Africa, Orlando Pirates, Tigers, and African Stars, these people were allocated land. African Stars, Vanaheda, Tigers, Hakahana, Service, Orlando Pirates, where the technical center is Black Africa in Soweto. Ramblers, where Ramblers is, SKV, where SKV is, DTS, where DTS is. So you look at that, all of them same time, $1 was the price, monthly price. And then fast forward 30 years, teams from this side, they have sports clubs, they have facilities, and the other clubs don't. I asked, what was this? Is it because of where we come from, blacks, whites? Was that the situation? Many people have different issues. Some people said, look, those clubs like Ramblers, TTS, they might have had the privilege of having people that knew how to run things that time. And our clubs were maybe not having the, and I don't know how, because our clubs had sponsorships back in the day. When I was making an example of Black Africa, I was saying, back in the day, if you said Black Africa was called National Black Africa, Orlando Pirates was called, all those corporates of 1970s and 80s, those corporates have died out. Black Africa stands. That speaks to the institutions they are. But anyways, what I'm saying is, the people did not have the vision to develop those lands. And then, because they did not do that, today they sit without stadium. And to build stadiums is not an easy thing. Many people are saying that for these clubs, gate takings and everything that they have to pay players, whereas for other clubs, those people have, I remember my senior Carlos was saying when he was at Ramblers, those people in raising funds, they put everything into raising funds. The people come together, they have prize, they sell tickets and whatnot. So the difference is there. The difference is there. If you go and see the facilities of those clubs, SKV, Ramblers, TTS, best playing fields, everything is there. Our clubs had the opportunity to do, but obviously the circumstances differed, understandably so. So that can be the issue. But going forth, we recently asked African Stars, where are you going to play the Champions League? And they said, this was with this in mind, not having stadium, even having a stadium that is playable, because according to FIFA standards, our stadiums are not even at international level yet. So this is national concern, so to speak.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Shaun Gariseb, for coming through to talk to us.
Thank you very much for having me.
We now head over to the Game Changers segment of the show, but quickly, another ad break.
Hey, don't worry about the car, boss. I check nice.
Thank you, but it's okay, ne? F&B Insurance. Checks nicer.
No, man.
At F&B Insurance, we provide cover for all your valuables, from your car to your laptop to your phone. F&B Insurance. You value it, we cover it. T's and C's apply.
Paranaque City in Philippines will this weekend witness a spectacular show-off between Fillipus Energy Nghitumbwa of Namibia, the WBO Global Super Bantamweight title holder and challenger, John Casimero. Well, of course, we compiled this video of Energy as he was rather preparing for the fight before he flew out to the Philippines. Well, please watch the video and let us know what you think. Will Energy retain his title or will Casimero take it? Let us know. Because this is Energy as he was preparing for the fight in the Philippines against Casimero. Well, speaking to Energy last night, he said that he's quite ready for this fight and he's ready to retain his title, of course. He is adamant that he will beat Casimero. So we really hope that he can retain his title. And as I've said, if you're watching this show, please let us know as to whether you think whether Energy will retain his title or will Casimero take it. Of course, as you can see, the Energy getting ready with his trainer. That, of course, was here at the Nesta Sunshine Tobias Academy in Windhoek. As you can see, they're just getting ready for this fight that will take place in the Philippines over the weekend. Energy is quite a very, very strong boxer, known for his very strong punches. Well, I would like to see on Saturday if he will be doing the same. Of course, will it be a knockout or will they go all the rounds? That will be really, really entertaining to see as well. Now, of course, as we build up to the Rugby World Cup, quickly we go for an ad break and then we will bring you just some quick brief news on the Rugby World Cup that is.
The next days are not a measurement of time, but the distance from here to the finish line. For the race you are running, for your kids, your career, your health, your future. Not away, but towards it. While the voice in your head reminds you it won't be easy. But by simply swinging your feet towards the floor, you've taken the first step. Grow for it with Stamino Grow. 5-in-1 supplement available at all leading pharmacies.
As we build up to September's Rugby World Cup, Greco Townsend has named an extended 41-player Scotland Rugby World Cup training squad, captained by Edinburgh back row Jamie Ritchie. The squad will be trimmed down to 33 players ahead of the World Cup in France, which begins in September, with Scotland taking on South Africa, Ireland, Tonga and Romania in a tough Pool B. Exeter Chief second row Johnny Gray has not been included after suffering a knee injury recently, while Fraser Brown and Mark Bennett are among the most notable absentees. Well, of course, now up next we conclude the show with Ari Hogard as he brings us more in-detailed international sports news. Please do catch us again tomorrow, same place, same time.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with soccer news first. It's the Champions League, and it was the semi-finals that started, and a big game. It was Manchester City that played against Real Madrid. That game was played in Spain at Real Madrid, and it was a good result for Manchester City. It was a 1-1 draw, but it is a away game, so it's all to play for next week, Wednesday, when the two teams meet in the second leg of the semi-final that will be played at Manchester City. So what happened in the game was it was Vinicius Jr. that scored first in the 36th minute for Real Madrid, and to lead 1-0 at half-time. But it was in the 67th minute, it was Kevin De Bruyne for Manchester City that scored the equaliser. It was Kevin De Bruyne that stepped up to the plate in this game. It was Erling Haaland that had a quiet game. He was looked after very well by the defence of Real Madrid, but Kevin De Bruyne's strike made it 1-1. And it is Manchester City that still have a chance for the treble, and that means they can still win the FA Cup and also the English Premier League and also the Champions League in one season, so that doesn't happen too often. In the final, if they go through to the final, they will meet either AC Milan or Inter Milan in the final. And continuing international sports news now with cycling news. It is the Giro d'Italia that continued. It was stage 4. It was a difficult stage. It was raining most of the time, and in the end it was Arlen Paré-Paintry, he is from France, that came through as the winner of stage 4. He had a sprint finish to the end against Andreas Leknesund, and he won the stage, the Frenchman, in 4 hours, 16 minutes and 4 seconds. It was tough conditions with the rain. There was lots of hills as well to go over, and it was the Frenchman that now is also up in the top 3 in the general classification. In second place was Leknesund, 2 seconds behind the winner, and then Thomas Skuins was 57 seconds further back in third position. In the general classification, it is Andreas Leknesund with his second position that now moves into the first position in the general classification. He's leading the tour at the moment. Combined time of 14 hours, 35 minutes and 44 seconds. He took over from Remco Evenepoel. He was the leader after the first 3 stages, and Evenepoel is now 28 seconds behind the leader. Now continuing international sports news with cricket news, and good news for the South African Proteas men's team. They qualified officially for the 50-over World Cup that will take place later this year in India. And it was a very close one for South African team. It was still Ireland that's playing currently a series against Bangladesh. If Ireland win the 3 games, quite convincingly they could overtake South Africa, but the first ODI, the first game of the 3, was rained out between Ireland and Bangladesh. So that means that South Africa do qualify now directly for the World Cup. The World Cup will start on the 5th of October, with the final being the 19th of October. For Ireland, it is still not all over. They can still qualify for a qualifying tournament in Zimbabwe, but it's going to be tough competition. Sri Lanka also in that tournament, and there's 2 teams that qualify in Zimbabwe for the World Cup from that qualifying in Harare. And closing off today's international sports news with golf news, and it is the Ryder Cup in golf that is getting closer. It's going to be in September month, and it will be in Rome. And the big talk at the moment is what the team selection will look like, especially for the European team. Obviously, the Live Golf initiative, with many of the top players of America and Europe not being able to play in the Ryder Cup, there is lots of new players that's coming to the fore. For the European team, it's players like Sergio Garcia, and also Lee Westwood and Ian Poulter that would not be able to play. And it is a new player that won the past weekend. His name is Adrian Meronk of Poland. He's been mentioned as one of the possible players that Captain Luke Donald will include in his team for September. It's not confirmed yet. There's still lots of golf to be played, but also it is Adrian Meronk that's got good form. He also won the Australian Open in December. Some of the players that Luke Donald will definitely pick for his team, that will be the backbone for the European team, will be players like John Rahm of Spain, also Victor Hovland, and then also Rory McIlroy. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk again tomorrow. Goodbye.